Now in part 2 of your procedure, you're going to have an index card that looks like this. You can set this over your, or set that underneath your well plate. You also have that right here. In this space, what I want you to write is I want you to write the solutions that you're mixing with one another. So if you mix a solution, so for part 2, what we're doing is we're taking 2 different solutions and combining them together, and we're doing multiple of those different combinations. So one of your solutions will be sodium hydroxide. Another solution would be copper sulfate. Another would be zinc chloride. Okay, what we want to know is what happens if we get sodium hydroxide and mix it with copper sulfate? What happens if we get sodium hydroxide and mix it with zinc chloride? Does a solid form in that mixture? Now, in the event that something does, that is an example of a precipitation reaction. So I want you to be looking for whether or not a reaction takes place. So just as an example, you'll have a copper sulfate solution, blue, and then you'll have a zinc chloride solution, kind of a chalky, relatively insoluble solution. All of these metal-containing solutions, all of these ionic compounds, the copper sulfate, zinc chloride, nickel sulfate, I want you to mix those with sodium hydroxide and mix them with HCl. And I want you to basically observe, does anything happen? Does something precipitate out of this? And if the answer is yes, what is that thing? Now, to help you answer that question, there's a table on page 70. This table right here reads solutions, ions, and description. I want you to look at all of these different solutions that we have and write what that solution is, and then what are the ions that stem from that. For instance, nickel sulfate, NiSO4. You would write NiSO4, then you would write Ni2 plus and SO4 2 minus. Because nickel forms a +2 ion, a sulfate ion, SO4 is a 2 minus ion. The description here, there's not a lot of room, so I want it to be very brief. Write something like green and homogeneous or something like that, or what's the word for you can see through it? Transparent. You could say it's a green transparent solution. That's what I'm looking for there. So what I want you to do is take all of the different ionic solutions, mix them with your sodium hydroxide and mix them with HCl and basically see what happens. Do we have any precipitation? Do we have any compounds that form from either the addition of a strong base like sodium hydroxide or a strong acid like HCl? Well, this week's experiment is something that I want you to be careful with and be very meticulous because we're working with a strong base, we're working with a strong acid, and because we're working with something kind of small like a well plate, I think there might be a temptation to, oh, well, I can move through this pretty quickly. Still, be just as careful as you always are. Wear gloves. Be an appropriate dress code. As you can see, there we go. Appropriate dress code. Make sure that you are wearing clothes that cover basically all of your skin, shirts with shoulders, and shoes that have a back to them and are closed-toed and everything like that. And one last request. If you have a phone with Wi-Fi, please make sure your phone is does not have a access point turned on. Make sure that your phone is not, make sure your phone is not working as a wireless hotspot. Kind of strange, but please. All right, well, I hope this live goes well for you. I hope you have a great week. Thanks, bye.